live today, and I'm waiting. It's taking a little time for the wheel to turn. There we go. So, hi, I'm author Jeanne Bender of the Lindy Lou Adventure Series books. And here is Lindy Lou, our little stuffy. And today, Lindy Lou and I are going to talk about the new book that's coming out, Book 5, which will be sitting right there. It's called On Ice, Exploring the Arctic with a Polar Bear Cub. And I'm going to be telling you a little bit more about this today on the show because I am going to be talking about ice and glaciers and things that are going to be in Book 5, right, Lindy Lou? Yes. And we're also going to tell you why it's warm in the summer and cold in the winter in the same city. Why isn't it the same temperature all year round? So I've started a little early and Heidi's come on. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Lindy Lou and I say hi to you and Boo and Mr. and Jim, and I want to thank you for joining. Oh, it looks like there's a whole bunch of people on, but I've only gotten one message so far. So please come and join us because our show starts in 2.5 minutes. But before we begin and we talk about the new book On Ice and about snow and glaciers and weather, let's play the Lindy Lou Song. Okay. Hi, Diane. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you too. Thanks for joining. We are going live very soon, but before we do, we're going to play the Lindy Lou Song. Here we go. Turning it up. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. We have such a great show today. And if you've just tuned in, it's going to be all about ice, snow, weather, and Book 5 on Ice, Exploring the Arctic with a Polar Bear Cub. Look at that, Lindy Lou. There you are on the back of the polar bear. And the book is coming out in April. So we are excited to share that with you. And you're a jewel, la la la. I'm so glad you're on. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Lindy Lou, say hi. We are going to start in 1 minute, and we have a really great show. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We have thousands and thousands of views now, and we're so excited about it, aren't we, Lindy Lou? Ooh. And my grandchildren told me that this is where they wanted my Lindy Lou Kids Corner today, with lots of books behind us. So my grandkids, Luca, Alex, and Andy, picked this spot for us to have our Lindy Lou show today. And we are going to start in 1 minute. And there's Nancy coming in. Hi, Nancy. Thank you for joining us. La, 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 la. La, 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 la. Do you know how to spell Lindy Lou? We're going to tell you right now. L-I, la, 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 L-I-N-D-I-E, L-O-U spells Lindy Lou, la, 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 la. Oh, Linda, Nancy's waving back. Lindy Lou, you are cool, and your friends think you're a jewel. La 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 la. We're gonna turn off the music now and start the show. So I'm gonna put Lindy Lou right here so she can join us. Look, she can swing on my chair with me today. Whee! I can't wait to see where you take me. La 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 la. Okay, we are going to to start our show right now here in our Kids Corner. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. And I want to welcome you to our Lindy Lou and You Kids Corner program, our weekly program to learn more about the world, life lessons, and some fun kids crafts. And today I'm excited because this is our first Kids Corner of the new year. And Diane's already wished us a happy new year, so I'd like to wish you all a happy new year and welcome you to our Kids Corner. Do any of you have a birthday in January? If you do, please let us know so we can wish you a happy birthday in our Kids Corner this month. And we're going to start our show by me telling you exactly where I am in the world. I am still way down here in Baja California South, which is right down the coast from California in Mexico, all the way down here in Cabo San Lucas. And if you notice, it's very warm here, which is kind of cool. Oh, that's funny. It's very warm here, which is kind of nice, but it's not warm everywhere in the world. I know a lot of you are in the snow, aren't you? And I would like you to know that we love the snow, but we also love the warmth. And I'm going to tell you why we have ice in some places and heat in other places in the world. But before we talk about ice and about the cold, which is going to be our first subject, I would like to continue by showing you my Kids Corner. As you can see, I have my Lindy Lou stuffy. I have my Lindy Lou 4 books in the series so far. I have my pillow because I haven't had a pillow in a couple of days. And of course my books. And it's a quiet place where I can relax and enjoy. And I hope you have a Kids Corner in your house. This week, my grandkids came over and made a Kids Corner out of drapes that they draped over some chairs in our living room. And we had a lot of fun creating our Kids Corner today. They don't have to be permanent. They can be anywhere you are. But create a fun place for you to read, to enjoy, to relax. And let's see if anybody else is on. Oh, yes, Katie's here. Hi, Katie. Katie is here with Teddy and Naisha. And I just want you to know that Teddy and Naisha are the reason we are talking about the snow and talking about why it's winter in some 6 months of the year or in the winter time, and it's summer in the summertime 4 months of the year and winter 4 months of the year, and why one city like Minneapolis, Minnesota can be so cold right now, and Minneapolis, Minnesota can be so warm in the summer. So I want to thank Teddy, Naisha, and Katie for their great idea for our program and for coming today. And I would like to talk more about ice. There we are. Ice is actually a type of water which is frozen into a solid form. This is what it looks like when it's in a solid form. And I'm going to show you a place where there is a lot of ice. Look at this. This is an image of the North Pole. There's a lot of ice on the Earth, especially in the North Pole and the South Pole. Do you know where the North and South Poles are? If you do, type it in a little message to us here in our Kids Corner. Can you imagine visiting a place like the North Pole where it is so cold that the ice never melts? Can you imagine this? And I want to show you, there's other forms of ice. this particular picture shows ice that is formed on this beautiful tree. And I want to thank my sister Vicky because she shared this image with us. All the leaves and all the branches on this tree are covered in ice. And this form of ice is called frost. And I think this is just a really cool way to show you what frost looks like. It also lands on the ground and shows up in a frosty image, and it's very crunchy to walk on when it's cold and there's frost on the snow or on the grass early in the winter. And I want to say hello to Kelly, who's here with Caleb. And I want to tell Kelly that one of my Kids Corner friends said they wanted to say hi to you and Caleb because they know that you join the show every week. And if I'm correct, Kelly says the North Pole is in the Arctic Circle and the South Pole is in the Antarctic. Yes, that is exactly right. You got it right, exactly. And Teddy and Naisha say that another name for the South Pole is Antarctica. That is exactly right, Teddy and Naisha. And another name for the North Pole is the Arctic. And I'm just going to show you in this picture exactly where what we're talking about, so that it's very clear. As you can see on a map of the globe, here is where the North Pole is. Now on this picture is taken straight on, so you can't see the ice, but there's ice up here. And of course, the South Pole is down here in the southern hemisphere. So the middle of the Earth is called the equator. So that's an interesting thing that, yes, you are absolutely right about the North Pole and the South Pole. And Kelly says she remembers it from her geography class. Well, I'm so glad that you're sharing that with our kids today. And I am going to show you a really, really cool picture of another form of ice, which I think is also very beautiful. Do you know what these are? If you live in California, you might not. But if you live in Minnesota, you might know what this is. This is icicles. They are some of the most beautiful forms of ice, and they form when snow melts and then freezes again before the melting water reaches the ground. And I just think these are so beautiful. These icicles stretching out over a hillside, melting and then freezing again before the water reaches the ground. Sometimes you can see icicles on a whole waterfall that has frozen up. And, oh, I have another really cool picture to show you. This is amazing. Wait till you see this picture. Here's another form of ice. Check this out. This is a huge body of ice, and it's called a glacier. When the snow doesn't melt and it keeps piling up, this is what it forms. A huge ice mountain called a glacier. And this ice mountain is bigger than a ship. It's bigger than a building. It's a mountain of ice. And what I love about it is how the sky reflects these beautiful turquoise colors in the ice. They are so, so cold that they actually change color. And this ice is as hard as a rock. Now, when ice breaks off of this glacier and falls into the water, it becomes an iceberg. And I'm going to show you. This is a piece of ice that has fallen off that mountain, and this particular one is flat on the top, which means it fell off a mountain or a area that used to be a lake, because lakes bottoms are flat. So we know that this glacier came from a lake area or a water area, probably the ocean, either the Atlantic Ocean in the north or the Pacific Ocean in the south. They're also called the Arctic Ocean and the Antarctic Ocean, but they float all over the oceans. This iceberg broke off of a glacier and fell into the water, and it became this giant iceberg. And this iceberg is moving, and it can travel many hundred miles away from where it first began. And when it travels, sometimes it begins to melt, just like an ice cube melts in a liquid glass. And you will see the top of the glacier, the iceberg, but did you know that this iceberg is several times larger underwater, and that's how it stays afloat, and that's why it can float? Otherwise it might tip if it didn't have a little bit of weight underneath the water. So here's our iceberg, and I have something to share with you. I am so excited about ice and icebergs and glaciers, and I've been on tours where I've actually been in the Arctic and the Antarctic and seen them in real life, and I'm so excited about it. I decided to write a book, and our book 5, which is coming out in April, is called On Ice, Exploring the Arctic with a Polar Bear Cub. And I'm trying to show you that there's a number 5 up in the corner. That's because this is number 5 in the Lindy Lou Adventure Series books that you see back there. And this book, Lindy Lou is with a polar bear cub. And I'm not going to tell you everything about what happens in the book, but there will be a lot of adventures, I promise you that. And in the end, you'll have met some pretty interesting characters like Nanook, the polar bear, and the polar bear cub. And some parts of the story are about something called the Northern Lights. And if you're not sure what the Northern Lights are, you'll find out about them, and you'll find out a lot more than you know about them when you read On Ice, Lindy Lou Exploring the Arctic with a Polar Bear Cub. The book is coming out in 4 months, which will be shown, and so I will be showing you in the future shows some of the illustrations from this book. So keep joining us on Thursday in our Kids Corner so you can see more illustrations from our new book coming out called On Ice. Now, I'd like to show you something very interesting. Here is a picture of a globe. A globe is an object that shows us the earth that we can look at and turn and touch. And many of you have globes in your house. If you live close to the North Pole up here or the South Pole down here, you will live in a colder climate than if you live in the middle of the earth, which is where the equator is. So I wondered, why is it colder at the top and the bottom of the earth? And why isn't it colder in the middle? The top and the bottom of the earth receive less direct sunlight than in the middle of the earth. So if you go outside on a sunny day and you lay down in the sun with your face toward the sun, but don't look at the sun because it can hurt your eyes. So I'd like you to lay in the sun with your eyes closed, but I'm sure you'll be able to feel the warmth. And you will notice that your nose and cheeks are in the middle of your face, just like the equator. So imagine you're laying in the sun with your eyes closed. This is the North Pole, this is the South Pole, this is the equator. And when you lay there, you will notice that your nose and cheeks feel a lot hotter than the top of your head or the bottom of your head. And this is because the sun is actually closer to your nose and cheeks because they are closer to the sun than the top of your head or the bottom of your head, because this is a little bit further back and this is a little bit further back, just like the globe. This is direct, and if the globe curves up, this is a little further back and this is a little further back. So that's kind of a way for you to understand why the equator is warmer than the North Pole and the South Pole. So I wondered, why does this place where I live get hotter in the summer and colder in the winter? Why isn't it hot all the time and cold all the time when we get to the north and the south? And here is my answer. First of all, I'm going to show you. If you live in North America, up here, I'm trying to find North America. If you live in North America, do I have this right? Yes. If you live in North America, then you will notice that sometimes you have summer and sometimes you have winter because you're up higher than you are at the equator. And if you live in this huge country called Australia or this little island called New Zealand, you will have summer and winter. And they're different. When it's summer up here, it's winter in Australia. And when it's summer in Australia and New Zealand, it's winter in North America. But why is this? Well, I was trying to figure out a really easy way to describe it to you. And I realized that the best way to do that, oh, Miles is tapping things on the screen too. Oh, great. Okay, I'm going to show you why it's warm and cold. So imagine that this is the sun. This part of my hand is the sun. And imagine that my brush is the earth. Now, if the earth was straight and it moved around, it would always be hot and always be cold as it travels around the sun. And as you know, the earth also turns completely around every day. So sometimes in the day you see the sun, and sometimes in the day it's dark. That's because the earth moves away from the sun and towards the sun every day. And it moves around the sun once a year. So every 365 days, this sun moves around. But why isn't it always warm and cold? Well, it's very simple. The earth isn't straight like the sun is. It is actually tilted at a 23.5-degree tilt. Now, if you notice, the top of this brush or the earth is closer to the sun right now, and the bottom is further away. So that's why it's warmer when the earth is in this 6 months of the year, and why it's colder down in Australia. And as the brush moves around in the next 6 months, look at there. Now the top part of the earth, because of the tilt of the earth, is farther away from the sun, and the bottom part, Australia and New Zealand, is in their summertime. And as it travels, it comes back to warmer in the north and cooler in the south. And that's why, as the earth travels on its axis, on its tilt, it's warmer in the summer in the north and cooler in the summer in the winter. And to help show this a little bit better, I have a few cute little pictures that I'd like to share. Here you can see the earth tilting towards the sun. And as you can see, the north is much closer to the sun than the southern countries. See how far away they are? That's in the summer in the north. And in the winter time, as you can see from this picture, the earth tilts the other way. And the north is farther away from the sun. And see, now Australia is much closer to the sun. But I would like to tell you something about these pictures. They show the sun almost the same size as the earth. But I'd like to tell you that is not true, because the sun is much, much larger than the earth. And I would like to show you a picture of why this is true. I'm going here, I'm going to show you. In real life, check this out. That's how big the earth is next to the sun. It is much, much bigger than the earth. And you can see we're rotating around that big, warm, hot fireball, which is kind of cool, isn't it? And so this reminds me of a life lesson. Oh, Romika's here with Chris and Ryan. Hi, Ryan. Hi, Chris. Hi, Romika. Happy New Year's. Yes, book 5 is coming out. I know you can't wait. The boys have read all the other ones, and it's going to be really cool and completely different than the others. But this life lesson has to do with what we're talking about. I think it's a good idea to learn as much as we can about the earth. Don't you agree, Lindy Lou? Yes, she does. Come here with me, little one. Because the earth is our home. It's our planet. After all, this is where we live together. So here's my life lesson, our life lesson. Think about where things come from, like ice, snow, icebergs, summer and winter. Think about where water comes from, and think about how the earth moves around the sun. Because if you open your mind and think about the things around you, you will enjoy life a lot more. Right, Lindy Lou? Yes. So, oh, Diane loved my explanation. Lindy Lou, she thought it was really good. Thank you, Diane. And now I have something really, really exciting to share with you. I am going to show you crafts you can make out of ice. This is one I've actually done with Luca, Andy, Alex, and Emma, my grandkids. And what we have done is we put fruit into ice cube trays, and then we've added water. You can also put fruit into little cups and add water and freeze it. You can even make these bigger. You don't have to put them in ice cube trays. But we put ours in ice cube trays, and then we added water, and then we froze it. And do you know what we did with it afterwards? You're gonna love this. We took the ice and we put them in our water or our soda, and we made funny, colorful, fun fruit drinks out of ice cubes with fruit frozen into it. And I just think this is a wonderful way to have a really nice, cool drink. And the kids love at the end to, when the ice cubes melt, the fruit falls to the bottom. They get to drink their water or their soda. And in the end, I give them a spoon so they can eat all the fruit out of the bottom of the glass. So that's something kind of fun to do with ice. And another fun thing to do with ice is you can take all of your little plastic play toys and stick them in an ice cube frame and freeze them, and then you can float them in your bathtub. But make sure that the ice cube frame is large enough that they don't tip over. So you might want to make your frames out of tin foil and then add the water and then put your little characters in. And then when they freeze, you can play with them. Or if you want, you can even freeze little things like tree branches or flowers that you stick out, and you can put them inside your drinks. So you can use toys or flowers or branches or anything you want to make floating objects that you can use that are made out of ice. And since we're also talking about where water comes from, because of course, when ice melts, it has to go somewhere and it turns into our lakes, our rivers, our oceans, and our streams. So when you have those water bottles, if you collect enough of them, and I don't like to use water bottles because they're hard to recycle because they just lay around in a pile and just sit there doing nothing. But if you can collect water bottles that are used, you can make all kinds of cool things out of it. Like this little boy made a fort out of his water bottles just by using glue and gluing them together. You have to have your mom and dad help you with the glue. But I just think this is a cool thing to do with plastic and things that you would normally throw away. Maybe even you could use bottles for the bottom to make it really strong, and then put your plastics on top and glue them into all kinds of funny frames and shapes. You could even do an igloo if you do a curved frame with your foundation, and as it grows it can curve and curve and curve until you finally put in the cornerstone, which keeps it in place. And then you can make really fun forts and all kinds of fun things out of it. Or look at this. I love this. This clever person took water bottles, cut out the bottoms, made holes in the caps so they would drip, and they made an entire vegetable garden that they hung on wooden hangers on their wall, and they're growing their vegetables in what's called a vertical garden at their home on a wall. And it doesn't even take any space. So if you have a small place, maybe you want to build a vertical garden, and you can grow lettuce, and you can grow all kinds of herbs and flowers, and it'll bring the flowers will bring butterflies and bumblebees for you to watch. And you can make a vertical garden out of plastic bottles after you drink water. And this one is really, really pretty. This person took a frame, which is round, and made ice cubes. And in order to get the hole in the middle, they used tinfoil in a round shape to carve out the inside, and then they froze these frames, and later they put their candles in it. So in the winter, on their railing in the snow, they put these ice frames that never melt because it's winter time, and they put their candles in there, and it's called Fire and Ice. And I thought this was really, really amazing. And there's another fun thing you can do. I have one more picture. I know we're running a little longer today. This is what is called an ice sculpture. And can you tell what that's a sculpture of? Well, you can carve things out of ice. If you have a really, really icy area or a hill, or if you want to pour some water on a mound of ice, then you can start chipping away at it. And this man made a giant polar bear out of ice. Oh, Lindy Lou and Nanook, isn't that cool? Look at that polar bear. Oh, I just think it's so much fun. All the things you can do with ice and water. And I'm so glad that, yes, Diane guessed correctly. It's a polar bear. Oh, Kelly thought it was a whale. Oh, I have to show that picture again. I can see where you might think this is a whale. That's a good one. There it is. If we didn't see the feet like this, we might think it's a whale. That was a good one, Kelly. So thank you all so much for joining our Kids Corner this week. And we just want you to know that we will be here next Thursday at the same time. And so until then, we want to wish you all a great week. And make sure you spend time in your Kids Corner, because it's your place to relax, to read, to dream, to enjoy. And if you haven't created a Kids Corner in your house, please make sure you do. Take time to find a special place and bring in your favorite books, toys, pillows, and stuffies. And it's okay to invite your parents, your friends, and your family to join you in your kids' corner. But most importantly, make sure you enjoy it because it is your very own kids' corner. And I want to thank you for visiting us all this week in our Lindy Lou and You Kids Corner. And so for now, this is author Jeanne Bender and Lindy Lou saying goodbye. And remember, next week, we will see you again in our Lindy Lou Kids Corner. And remember, it's all about Lindy Lou and you. Thanks for joining this week. We had so much fun. And bye-bye. I look forward to seeing you next week. Lindy Lou says bye-bye.